to single. It could be two, and this would tie Lou Gehrig. But he is out at second.
Well, you knew Mattingly was going to go because Mattingly had that in mind.
Was it right on the money?
I mean, on a fly, too. I mean, that ball just takes off. One hop, he'd have made it.
Welcome again to the Sport Card and Memorabilia Show, Day 4. I'm joined today by former Jays great Jesse Barfield. Thanks for being with us here today.
Thanks.
So Jesse, it has been a while since you've been back into Toronto. Has the city changed a little bit since you were last here?
Well, Toronto is always a great city. It's always good to be back. See some of your familiar faces, fans. It's grown a lot. I should have bought some real estate a long time ago.
Yeah, well, you're in town 100%.
Yes.
Think if you bought by Exhibition Place and things like that while you guys were playing there.
Yeah, that would have been nice. We're right there on Queens Quay.
Oh, it's a different world. Different world. Speaking of which, during your playing days with the Jays, you, Lloyd, Moseby, and George Bell formed probably the best defensive outfield during the 80s. What's one of your fondest memories?
It goes back to, you say defense. We weren't too bad offensively either.
You guys were amazing. I was going to get into that after.
Since you said the defense, when we would play the counts really well, we knew how to play every hitter. And if the guy got 2 strikes on him or behind in the count, we would shift automatically to the opposite field a couple of steps. So when we were shifting, I would look over to Lloyd and George. We were like synchronized swimmers shifting at the same time. I never not had them shift at the same time. If the guys are ahead in the count, we would shift 2 steps to pull. Behind in the count, 2 steps the other way. And it showed me that we were able to separate the hitting from the defense, because you're not going to hit every day. I don't care who you are, but you got to play some defense. So we were able to go out there and play solid defense and make a difference if we weren't hitting.
Speaking of your defense, you're known as having the best arm in the 80s.
Thank you.
You had, I think it was 21 assists, 22 assists over the course of your really, and at the time, as you were saying, you were hitting 28, 40 home runs.
Those were fun days. Jimmy Williams, by far, was the best all-around coach we ever had. He knew every position. He knew the footwork involved. He would go out there every day and work on fine-tuning your defensive skills at every position. He was by far the best all-around coach I ever had.
And being from the organization, pretty much from the start, being drafted in the amateur draft when they first launched the team, you got to see it grow from a little upstart team to the powerhouse that you guys became in '85 when you won the pennant.
Absolutely. I remember the lean days. A lot of us remember the lean days. A guy by the name of Bobby Cox comes in '82, and he's talking about winning it. I'm like, Bobby, we haven't even sniffed 500 yet. But he had a platoon system set in place. He believed in every player. He got the best out of their ability. He put you in situations where you can succeed. And before you know it, I mean, you remember '84 when the Tigers got off to a 35-5 start and won the whole thing? We got it within a game and a half, 2 games at the end. We felt we ran out of gas, but we almost caught them. Next season, we did win the pennant.
Yeah, and it really, at the time, Toronto was starved for a good sports team.
Yes.
I mean, we had the Leafs, but they were crap. They were. And really, it was about that time that I remember really becoming a major fan and watching you take down the Titans, the Tigers.
Yeah.
The Yankees were terrible then. It was really all about Toronto. And so coming back to your offense, 86 was your best offensive season, hitting 40 home runs, hitting 286. What is your best memory about being an all-star that year?
289, by the way.
289, sorry. My bad.
Give me those points. Give me those points. I need those. As a team, we didn't do great that year in '86. But from a personal standpoint, I remember going into the beginning of that season, I got off to a little bit of a slow start. And George Bell came up to me. He goes, "Hey, man, you don't have to carry this team. If you don't get the guy, George, I'll get him." Mo will get him. Willie will get him. We got your back. Just you be you. Don't try to do everything. Just do what you got to do. I said, I appreciate that. That got the ball rolling. I was trying to do a little too much. And going into that last series in '86 against the Brewers, I had homered, I think, 3 times in the Yankee series. So I said, okay, I might as well go for 40 now. My personal goal was 35. I thought I could attain that. So when I passed the 35, I said, I'm going to go for it. And it was a second at bat, I believe it was, in the first game, the Friday night game. And Wegman throws a cutter away, and opposite field, number 40.
It's great that you remember exactly the pitch, the pitcher.
Oh, yeah.
And now, what are some of your fondest memories of your teammates? You just brought up George telling you not to do too much. Give me some great George stories.
Well, I remember we went into Fenway Park, and the Red Sox did not like George. You remember we had that fight here, and George did a karate kick with Keeson. We knew that we were going to fight that day. He got on first base, and Bill Buckner was there, and they were jaw-jabbing with each other. And George put his hand on Buckner like that, and Buckner, hey, don't touch me. We knew that day we were going to fight. So George comes up again, Bruce Keeson, who's not scared to drill you. He smokes him. George runs out, karate kick, bam, kick Keeson in the groin. Oh. He actually tore Keeson's groin.
Oh.
And I don't think Keeson was never the same after that. But he kicked Keeson. Gedman was the catcher, so he knew he had to jump on him. He's slow. And so he kicked Keeson. You look at the replay, he turns around and boom, boom, Gedman. And he's dancing. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man. So we're out there. John Sullivan, our bullpen coach, he was drug all over the field, blood and stuff. I'm like, God. And we're looking for George, and Jim Rice runs in, and from a distance, we kind of look alike. So Jimmy and I were good friends. I made sure I made eye contact. Jimmy, I'm not George. This is Jesse right here. So we good. So I look around. George is in the tunnel. I said, man, you better get out here. This is your fight. Let's go.
Oh, that's amazing. So he snuck off after he started. That's awesome.
He said they were going to kill me.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, speaking of which, it was a tougher game then. You know, eye for an eye, you hit my guy, I hit yours.
Oh, yeah.
How have you seen the game change over the years?
You're 100% right on that. In fact, we were in spring training, and I had homered off the scoreboard, over the scoreboard, and Ron Darling was pitching. Control pitcher, had great pinpoint control. Next time up, I fouled one straight back. I guess he thought I swung a little too hard. And I didn't see him looking at me the way he was looking at me. We call it mean mugging. Next pitch, bam. And so Steve Lyons was a catcher. And I had been hit maybe 3 times already in spring training. Oof. And I didn't take too kindly to that. And Barry Lyons was a catcher, and Larry Young was the umpire. They both grabbed me. And I looked out, and he said something, and I couldn't get to him. So anyway, nothing happened. Musselman was pitching, and Strawberry comes up. He smoked Strawberry. Strawberry's a big boy.
He's a big boy.
Musselman's a little guy. So he's running all over the infield, and here's Strawberry chasing it. Rance grabbed Strawberry's legs. He's dragging Rance all over the place, and he got away that time. But eye for an eye.
And that's how it was played. Now, if you hit the next batter, you're out.
Yeah, they have to protect the guys.
Yeah.
Guys throw harder now. You hit
do.
somebody with a baseball now, you can do some serious damage. But you know, the game is different. The guys are more excitable. You know, and all the different handshakes and stuff. That's part of the game now.
It is. It's about selling yourself, your personal brand, as much as your team
right.
wins. You know, there's a lot more to it.
It is.
What is moving from Toronto to New York? Did you find it a little bit of a cultural shift? What were your favorite parts or your worst parts leaving Canada to go stateside and clean New York for dirty New York? Because
Yeah,
we
no
consider
doubt.
Toronto clean New York.
Yeah, Toronto was, well, the thing about it, I love Broadway. We go to a Broadway show every now and then, and my wife and I, but it was different. But at that time, when I got traded, I needed to be traded. They were changing, they wanted to bring in some younger players. I fully understand that. I'd come off of a wrist injury, and it took me a couple of years before I can actually get to certain pitches again. And I did, thank God for that. But it was a much needed change. I missed Toronto. I remember coming back and all the fans with their signs and Jesse, we still miss you and this, that, and the other. It made me feel good. I had a nice reception.
You look out here, you still got some fans
Yes,
out
sir.
here. I think, like I said, your team, led by you, really captured the hearts of the city. Watching your rocket arm again, you see it sometimes now, but you were a laser out there.
Thank you. I worked hard on accuracy. There were some guys that had just as good, if not better, arms than I did, but the accuracy, I took a lot of pride in it, footwork and quickness. So if you can get to the ball quickly and get rid of it, even if they didn't score on you, they would stop and it would take another hit. So that's also a weapon.
It's awesome.
Thank
It's
you.
awesome. And last question for you, because I got some people who are waiting to get your autograph. If you had to say, what's your favorite memory in Toronto?
That's an easy one for me. It's coming back, winning our pennant in '85. After losing that Friday night game, I remember being out in right field. I was so emotionally spent. I had tears welling in my eyes. Man, we're going to do this. And then when Weiniger hit that home run, you could hear a pin drop. It went just complete silence at Exhibition Stadium. And we ended up losing that game. And I remember going down to the wives' lounge to get my wife Marla. And they looked so sad. All the wives, everybody looked sad. I said, listen, we got this. You guys go home, have a good night's sleep. Don't worry, we got this. The next day, we were taking batting practice. And Dave Winfield, I love Winnie, he's a good friend. But Dave Winfield had these two 45-pound dumbbells. He walked close to our cage, was doing dumbbells. First off, how are you going to intimidate? I'm from Chicago. Moseby from Oakland. George is from Dominican. Ernie's a country boy. You're not going to scare us. So I looked at him. I said, Lloyd, George, look at this guy. I said, Hassey doesn't know what's about to hit him. Not Hassey, but their starting pitcher. I can't think of his name. But he was going to be in the shower real soon. And sure enough, I think Mo led off with a homer, Willie, and I doubled over Winnie's head, and the route was on. We were going to win that game.
Love that you doubled off his head. That's a great thing.
That's right.
Honestly, it's a pleasure to meet you and
Appreciate
to
it.
have you up on our stage.
Thank you, my brother.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it.
Listen, enjoy your fans who are all
Thank you.
waiting there,
Appreciate
and we'll hope to have you back again
Thank
soon.
you very much. Appreciate you.